What's going on, gang? You know what time it is? It's Tuesday. That's right, folks. I'm having some technical issues trying to work out. So tonight's going to be a little rawer than normal, but hopefully it's all good. Everything will be working out. We'll see. We'll see how pissed off Chuck gets at his setup. I'm getting a bunch of new equipment. I have a nice mic, and one of my guests actually was nice enough to send me a webcam. So now all I need is some good headphones. My headphones literally fucking died today, and anything I look for just is not working. So we're just gonna see if this works. But that's okay. It's Chuck's show. Um, we're gonna fucking find a way. We're gonna have fun, even when I'm pissed off. Hell, often when I am pissed off, it ends up being even fucking funnier. So let's see how that goes. Right now, we've got two of you guys. Why don't you shout out? Let us know what's going on, how things are treating you. People are liking it. That's good. And sharing it. Mike Bankston, what a good dude. What a good dude. Okay, Mike's there. Great. We're happening. We've got one viewer so far. That's excellent. Much love to thank you. Much love right back to you, homie. Mike and I are working on a comic together. It's fine. I work on a lot of comics with a lot of people. And tonight's guest is no different. I'm going to be talking to the creator of such oh hey, Brian Manel's there. Cool. Good to see you, Brian. Is that a hint that your clients need to? Oh no, you don't need. No one needs to buy me headphones. I'm gonna try to look for some. If it happens, I'm not gonna say no. But no, you guys are doing your own thing. Thank you, anyways. I appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Trish is on her phone. Cool. All right, we're making this happen. We're gonna do it. We're gonna have a good show. We're gonna have fun. All right. We ready? Let's fucking make it happen. Let's as always, let's start with a good laugh.
Canadian bacon is actually really good, and it's nothing like normal bacon, and it's better than ham, which you guys seem to call Canadian bacon. I'm very good at writing. I write very well. Yeah, it's Shop Talk.
Do some of your audience members like the word fuck? Cool. Then I'm gonna keep saying fuck because I care. What up, Max? What up, all of you guys? That's right. And what up, Shane Morrison? How you doing, buddy?
Hey man, I'm doing pretty good. The Kickstarter just funded today, so I'm in a pretty decent mood.
Okay, tell your voice that because you sound very unhappy.
Nah, I'm usually like around this time. I'm kind of just mellowing down and whatnot.
I feel you. I get you. So cool, guys. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Shane and I have actually hung out and done shows together and stuff. So, Trish, what did Trish say? Literally, computer died 2 minutes before your show. Oh, that's fun, huh? Yeah. Technology in my show today has just decided, fuck it, let's see what we can do. As you guys can see on the banner below, any questions you guys have for either myself or my guest today, as always, let us know, man. That's what this show's all about, is teaching people and all of us trying to get better at what we do. So, Shane Morrison is a writer, a publisher. He has done his own lettering. And he is also a first responder, correct? You're a paramedic?
Well, I'm an EMT, but it's like a step below paramedic.
Not in my books. You guys are all the same to me. If that helps, is that good or bad?
Yeah.
That you're all the same.
I mean, paramedics might be offended by it. It's kind of like, I guess they'd probably look at it the same way as being called ambulance drivers. Because, that makes it sound like that's all it is.
I appreciate their service, but fuck them, man. Like, you guys all do a fairly similar job, and we appreciate what you guys do. So we won't always. It's like the same thing as a lot of people don't know the difference between a psychologist and a psychotherapist. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah, that's true.
Cool. So here we are. You and I have talked an awful lot I have actually edited a bunch of your work. Why don't you first start by talking about? I do this every time. Let's talk about your origins into comics as a youth, or whenever you got into enjoying comics as a fan.
So I want to say it probably happened around when I was like 12, because I remember, I think it was for Christmas or something like that. Someone had got me a Wolverine action figure, and it came with a comic book, which was a Wolverine comic book, obviously. And I wish I could remember what issue it was, but my memory's crap when it comes to trying to remember specifics from like years
You know
ago.
what happened in it? I might be able to tell you.
I remember the cover more than anything because because there was one time I had to do some project later on in high school, and it had to do with that stupid mole equation or whatever the hell it was, where it's like 20 digits long after the decimal. And the thing was, we had to choose between two different projects, and the one I chose was I drew a poster, and this I guess was back when I kind of draw a little bit, and the other thing was creating a stuffed animal mole, and I based both of them off that same exact comic book. And the cover specifically, it was a close up of Wolverine, and he had his hand out like this, and then like the claws were going over his face. And to finish up the mole story thing, I drew that same exact cover, but instead replaced Wolverine's head with like a mole's head and gave him like pointy fingers and everything. And the stuffed mole was also based on that. So I got like these plastic forks and broke off the fourth prong and spray painted them silver and like shoved the forks through the paws of it. And so, it was like this little mole, stuffed animal mole that had like these long silver fork prongs sticking out of its front legs. But yeah, I wish I could remember what issue that was.
Yeah, I mean,
I lost it a long
close-up image of Wolfie with his claws out. That's a lot of them.
Yeah. No.
So what endeared you to comics so early?
I mean, I think it was just the the typical like, hey, this has pictures and words. This is technically easier to read and whatnot. And I mean, I never understood why people wouldn't like comic books but like regular novels in the first place, because it's like it's still reading, but now it's got cool pictures with it to actually show you what the hell they look like. Which I guess that's part of the appeal to novels, is you can kind of make up in your head what you want them to look like, as opposed to being shown what they look like.
Yeah, they definitely have they appeal to different style minds and whatnot. So then, as a comic creator, what made you want to take the leap and start making your own books?
Well, I know, like, whenever I was in my early 20s, I finally could actually afford to buy comic books. And, I was going to, like, comic shops and probably spending, like, $50 to $100 every 2 weeks or something like that on comics. And, I was enjoying, like, what I was reading, but it kind of felt lacking from the mainstream stuff like Marvel and DC. Image was fine. It didn't have that lacking something, but it's just partly due to the old same stories just being retold over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And it just always felt recycled and whatnot. And I just I almost want to say it was kind of out of boredom. I decided to see if I could, give it a shot and see what happened, way back when I didn't even know indie comics was really a thing. And I didn't even know there was a community and whatnot.
Yeah, how much did that change how you look at things? Because I know that when you came out with, I think it was number 2, you went from I've never heard of this dude ever to boom, like you were in the community and you were selling multiple books, because you have this. You have both Beast King, which you're currently you currently launched issue 4.
Yeah.
And then you have Crossers Gate, and now you have Oh my gosh, Ungodly Champion.
Yeah. Then, like, I think, I had gotten to issue 2 before I even, I guess, really realized that there was a community. And I think it was, thanks to Kevin, let's try not to butcher his last name, Rodatelli, or however the hell you say his last name. And he was like, well, I think it was, I don't remember how I learned about Kickstarter, but, I somehow ran into him online, and he kind of informed me of a lot of stuff and helped me out with my Kickstarter a little bit, and kind of helped me to more learn about the community and everything.
Cool. Well, I mean, and it's nice. I think a lot of us need those guides, those people who kind of guide us in. Like for me, that was very much Rob Anderson. So that's cool. So then, like, what was it in your life that basically made you go, I'm gonna make my own and distribute my own and get them out there? Was there something that just kind of pushed you? Like, because I know that when we've talked, you're very passionate about making your own books, and of course, someone who's released, you're now on issue 5 of your own stuff, and you've done 5 issues of your own books, plus you've also released books for your artist Travis Martinez in Crosser's Gate. So what pushes you to have done that and continue doing that?
Honestly, I really enjoyed telling stories, because I think my grandpa was partly an influence on that, because he would always tell me these crazy, almost ridiculous sounding stories from back when he was in I believe the Navy and all that stuff. And I just, I'd sit around and listen to him tell these stories all the time, and he was so animated about it. It was hilarious. But I guess it kind of rubbed off on me, and I've always had a very overactive imagination since I was a kid. And I kind of realized that comic books was a really good way to make that into an outlet. And ever since, I first made Beast King issue 1, I just, had a lot of fun with it.
So we got a question here from someone in the audience. They're asking, what is your favorite current comic title that's not your own? I personally think I will say, if someone asks you what is your current title, or what is your favorite current title, and you answer your own, I feel like that's really disingenuous. It means that you're not actually a fan. You're just in this for your own ego. So almost, I would not want to say excluding your own, because if they mention their own, then they're already saying something about themselves.
Yeah, I hate it when people give that response. It's like, well, obviously yours is your own favorite because you're creating it for a reason. But I haven't really been reading a lot of mainstream stuff lately, or even Image, because I've been mostly just reading indie stuff. But I want to say that you're not going to
get any hatred for talking indie here, buddy.
I mean, I want to say Midnight Highway by Mike is definitely in my top 3, because he actually let me read it before he sent it off to print, because I guess he wanted an extra opinion on it. What's another good one?
What would your top 3 look like?
Trying to think of ones I've read recently.
Damn. Black Hammer. I haven't read that.
What's that one that Frank gave? He created not too long ago, the hotel one.
Macabre Motel.
Yeah, that one was pretty good too. I always have a hard time remembering the name, because that first word always it's a hard word to remember.
I was the one who famously was a dick to Frank, and even called him out for saying it wrong, because he would call it macabre. And so I would, and he's like, I'm not gonna say it because you called me out. I'm like, well, that's fair.
Oh man.
Okay, so Brian Manel came on. He said, what kind of stories do you connect with compared to others? So what are stories that you really connect with?
I'd say it's stories where, they actually focus on building some kind of emotional connection with the main character. It's like, I don't necessarily want the main character to be perfect or anything, And if they are somehow perfect, then there needs to be some way for them to still be able to have that emotional connection. Because I personally feel like the perfect characters like Superman, it's harder to pull it off because it's like not a lot of people can relate to someone who's basically a god amongst men and who's always nice to everyone and helping them walk ladies across the street and live the day all the time. It's like I connect better with people like him because Wolverine can sometimes be an asshole. But
yeah, that's why he's one of my favorites. I feel you. So, are there any stories or writers that helped influence you and your style?
I'd say, like definitely on characters, I'd say Wolverine and the Hulk for sure. For sure, Beast King. But I tend to a lot of my try to, and I try to do like 50 comic books and also from anime and manga because I like how like anime and manga it tends to be growing more and more popular because they know how to get you invested in like the characters and the story and whatnot. And so I kind of try to take elements from both. But another I do like Todd McFarlane. He's another one that I can, with his Spawn series, I kind of get some inspiration from him because he's been going at it for years on the same series. And I don't even know if with Beast King if I could go on for that long.
Right.
Even though I've got probably like 10 years worth of story content that I can keep going with them, but
oh yeah, see, Dave Galliano comes in, love character driven. Yeah, and I agree. I would actually say philosophically when it comes to storytelling, for me personally, I feel like you got to nail down your characters, and your characters really do push where the story's going. You can certainly have an idea of what that story is going to look like, but they will mold and change and affect that story in ways that maybe you didn't expect because you're so in tuned to those voices.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Trish Bankston says indie stuff rocks. Titles kind of show a person's personality, not judging. I'm all Wonderland or Oz titles from. So yeah, she's basically just saying she loves indies and whatnot too. Yeah. So what does your story look like from the beginning, from the very opening of your idea all the way till creating it? What does that process look like?
So I know the way I do it is I kind of just sit here and just think of stuff. And let's see if I can figure out how to explain it. A lot of times, I'll kind of just zone out when I'm watching TV or doing other stuff, and I'll start thinking of my stories. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should, try to make the story go this route. And then later on, I'll finally type it out and I'll kind of read over it. And, after reading it, I can make more sense of it and see if it actually makes more sense. Because sometimes, you think of a story up in your head, or you think of how you want something to go down in your head, and you write it down or type it out, and then suddenly it sounds totally different, and you're like, oh God, this is stupid. But the whole process, sometimes my process is really inconsistent, to be honest. Sometimes I'll be able to sit here and just type up 10 pages, and then other times I'll be struggling to type up 3 pages because, like, I know what I want to happen, but when I start typing out, it's like I said earlier, like a few minutes ago, it just seems like it doesn't make sense, and it's trying to figure out how to make it make sense to other people because it already makes sense to me, but I can tell that it wouldn't make sense to other people.
Well, I mean, that's what editors are for, right?
Yeah.
Well,
that's for sure.
Do you do outlines?
I actually don't, because it's going to probably sound dumb, but I don't like doing outlines because I feel like it restricts the story process for me, because then I feel like I have to follow exactly what that says. And a lot of times I'll be typing it out and I'm like, no, there's a better way to do this, or there's a better way to go about this. But if I have like something like an outline in front of me, I'll sit there and look at it like, well, I guess I have to stay with this. Like I said, it's kind of dumb, but I prefer the more free thinking method as opposed to just having it like just sitting out in like a list form or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I can remember everything about the story that I need to happen.
Have you ever watched an artist draw?
Like in person?
Well, in person, or they're doing like YouTube videos all the time where they're showing themselves drawing pieces and such.
Oh yeah.
So you know how often they'll come in and they'll draw their circles first, and they'll kind of get the body done, you know, and they'll just like everything will be rough, ugly circles and lines and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And then they'll go over it and they'll start adding to it, and eventually those lines disappear. And often they might even change where those circles and lines are and move the head and all that kind of stuff as they're working. Consider that like your outline. So it's just a guide. It's not there. I say this all the time to people, and I'm sure they get bored hearing me say it, but it doesn't matter. It's not canon until you fucking publish it. So even if you write out an outline and you say, this is what I want to happen in this issue, you can change it at any point. You can say, oh, as I was going, I realized that there was something that's way fucking better than this. And you can do that way fucking better thing and not where, and, you know, kind of push your outline along or aside for a little bit, and then, you know, pull back into it as it matters. Or when it matters. So I would reconsider the outlines. Just try to put it in your head. Outline, you don't own me. I'm the fucking boss.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so what about when you're getting pages from your artist? Because I know we all get so excited whenever we see art. How tough are you on your artist as far as trying to make sure that it fits your look and what you're going for?
I would say if it was like a scale of 1 out of 10, maybe like a 6. Because, you know, like I need certain things to look or happen a certain way. And, you know, there's been times I've had to have, you know, both artists like either redo a panel or something because, and, you know, sometimes it's my fault because I wasn't specific enough. But then, you know, there's also times where it's like, I guess the artist is having a harder time trying to like visualize it, I guess.
Yeah.
But like for example, like on fight scenes, I'd say I'm pretty strict because I usually set up the fight scenes that happen certain ways, and so I need things that look and happen exactly like I wrote it to, because otherwise, like the next panel might not make sense or it'll look confusing once it happens because it didn't happen the way I needed it to the previous panel or the previous 3 panels before.
Well, and what I will tell you is, because you seemed a little embarrassed by the 6, but I would actually, that's what I would say that I am, is around a 6. And I think that's a very healthy place to be, because it means that you're ready to fight for something if it matters, but you also understand your artist knows what they're doing too, and you have to kind of collaborate and allow them to have their voice too. So actually, do not be embarrassed by that 6. I think that 6 is almost, in my mind, it's almost like a 10, because it means that you're open to seeing what they're willing to add, and you understand that they have the visual eye that maybe you don't. But when it matters to you, you'll fucking fight for it, and I think that's really important. So do not be embarrassed by that 6. I think that's a good place to be. 6, 7. That's the answer I would want to hear.
Oh yeah, that definitely makes sense. And like, damn, what was I gonna say? I zoned out on what I was gonna say for a second.
I have to say, having spent a weekend with you when we did North Texas Comic Con, you are not like a drinker, or you're not a crazy partier or anything. So it's kind of funny right now. You're like, oh, dude, I'm like, is this guy high a little bit? I know you're not.
I get like this on like videos and stuff because I'm trying to like, I don't know if it's like because I'm trying to think of too much stuff at the same time. So I'm like overloading my damn brain or what.
Well, you're doing great, buddy. You're fine. Everybody's enjoying it. Viewership is great. People are asking questions. We're all good. So yeah. No pressure at all. Really, this is just about us kind of finding out about you, what you do, how you do it. So there's no wrong answers because fuck, you're the one who's doing it. And obviously it's working for you. Not a lot of people have 4 issues of their titles. Not a lot of people are funding in that first week. So no, man, I don't think you need to be worried about your answers. I think you're doing great. Let's go to publishing for a second, because I have, for those of you out there, he is one. Beast King 4 is one thing that I'm attached to that's on Kickstarter right now, but another thing I'm attached to is a book called Apex, which my publishing company is pushing, and that is my first book that I've ever published. So what was it that made you say, yeah, Travis, I can publish your book? And how do you find that process?
Well, the thing was, he had showed me Crosser's Gate like as a kind of like a sample type thing to show me like what his pages look like and everything. And when I was reading it, I was like, this is actually kind of cool. Like, why the hell aren't you like putting it on, at least on Webtoons or something? And I just figured, if I'm going to be publishing my own series, and if he's okay with publishing his, and we can split any profits, then why the hell not? Like, let's just try to make it happen. And Crosser's Gate, it's been up to issue 5, and I gotta see how things are going with issue 6 on Crosser's Gate, because I think issue 6 is supposed to be the end of the first volume for his. But
so that's gonna be an ongoing thing then, Crosser's Gate.
Yeah, like he had told me like what specific issue I guess was gonna be the end of it. I just can't at the moment remember like when it would be. Like, I would assume Beast King and Ungodly Champion would probably go longer than Crosser's Gate would.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't remember if it was somewhere in like the 50s or something like that. Like
for both of those?
Chapters. No, for Crosser's Gate.
Oh wow. Trish came on and said, FYI, enjoying meeting you for the first time. So that's cool. Trish is a really cool. She's a fan, but her husband and her are also creating books themselves for the first time. They're about ready to jump into what you and I are doing. So I'm sure that talking to them about all this, and this is helping everybody who's listening. So we appreciate you.
It can definitely be stressful.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, no, it really can. Especially when you get behind the bullet. That, speaking of, you're making your own thing. You can do it whenever the hell you want. Do you have deadlines for yourself, and how close do you kind of follow those?
I actually do try to set deadlines for myself, especially when it comes to trying to like plan Kickstarters and whatnot. Like, March was for sure when I wanted to go live for Beast King. And ideally, I would like to do the next Ungodly Champion issue by October at the latest. Mm-hmm. But, depending on, as long as I don't run into any financial setbacks, I'll probably be able to pull that off. So I've got the script, like, I think up to page 20. I just haven't had time to work on it because, the Beast King Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And, prepping for that kind of took away my free time to work on the script on that.
How was the response to Ungodly Champion? Because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I knew it as soon as I read it. And after I had hung out with you and your wife, who, lovely lady, Really great woman. Congratulations, by the way, on that. You guys got married about 2 years ago?
Let's see, it's 2021. Yeah, I'd say 2 years ago, around this time.
Remember those dates, man. They want you to remember. You do not forget those dates.
No, she's worse than me.
Oh, good. Oh, that's really good. That's terrific news. But reading Ungodly Champion, I found that was a much more personal tale in my mind than a lot of people might have understood. Was that something that you did on purpose, or did you find that just kind of flowed into the script, or had you not even considered that?
A lot of it actually was intentionally kind of personal because like I wanted it to feel more natural, if that makes any sense. Like Dylan, he's kind of like a representation of who I was when I was younger, like when I was in high school and everything.
Yeah.
And whereas Jake from Beast King might be more relatable to who I am now. But yeah, a good chunk of it was actually based from my own personal experiences and stuff like that. And
Now,
go ahead.
No. I mentioned this is your story. Keep going.
I was just gonna say that like I actually surprisingly didn't get any negative feedback about Ungodly Champion, so that was kind of surprising to be honest. Other than that it took a little bit for the action to start up, but I wanted to, the first issue I wanted it to kind of not necessarily cement the characters, but to kind of give the readers an idea of what to expect from the characters.
Yeah.
And from the story in general.
Well, remember, because a lot of people will say, like, pacing wise, you kind of want action about every 5 pages or so, but action doesn't necessarily have to be a battle. Any kind of heated tension, drama, anything like that is similar to a fight. So technically, there's more action in that story than one would assume. His just the time that he talks to his dad, that's certainly high tension, stuff like that. So yeah, most of the real action that when people consider that, that's towards the end. But people need to understand that comics aren't just fights, and especially when you're doing something like Ungodly Champion that has more of a dramatic feel to it, that drama is your action.
Yeah, that's actually very true. And I don't know if you even remember like half the stuff I've told you about like for the future of the story, but there's going to be a lot of that, but also combined with the action.
I do. I remember that it is a thing like that. That's very much a part of the DNA of that story and that title. So I remember that at least. Dude, so many titles. People will come to me like, "Do you remember what I said about this character?" I'm like, "I don't even know who the fuck that character is. What are you talking about? What book are you talking about? Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah, honestly, I don't expect you to remember every little detail because I do know you edit a lot of books.
I had someone be like, "Hey, can you read my character Bible?" And it was like a dozen or more pages, and I was like, "Fuck no, I don't need to know that." And the thing is that like I feel like a good editor, yes, I suppose they could help flesh those characters out and that kind of stuff. Though that's more of a co-writer thing. But really, a good editor should be able to see it from the viewpoint of the audience. So I shouldn't have the Bible fucking memorized. I shouldn't have read it because
you couldn't read it.
Yeah, it's easier for me to be able to then see it from the eye of the audience because I don't have all that added info and go, what the fuck is happening right here? What does this mean? I find that helps me a lot, especially when I'm doing things like reviewing, because obviously I'm not tied to all of the other stuff, so I can just look at it and go, yeah, as an audience member, I don't know what you were trying to tell me. So yeah, man, the less we know in some regards, the better.
Yeah, because the reader's not going to have that Bible on hand.
Yeah, and if you feel like they have to, that's a problem.
Yeah,
Brian
you
comes on
gotta,
and says, conflict is what it boils down to, and that's yeah, Brian. That's the word I was looking for. Conflict. Thank you, buddy. That's what you need to have through your story, either within the character itself or externally somewhere else. Yes, 100%. That's exactly what we're trying to say. Thank you for that, Brian. Absolutely correct. Speaking of that, do you take a lot of conflict from, because as an EMT, you've probably seen your fair, more than your fair share of fucked up shit. Have you taken anything from the stuff that you've seen in your day job?
I don't know if I have yet. I know I do plan on using some of it for future issues, like later down the road, because I actually plan on using some of it for future quote unquote bad guys to kind of like, because I know I plan on using some different routes than what most people use for their villains and whatnot. But I'm trying to think on if there's anything specific I can think of that I have used yet. So I think I've been saving that stuff for later whenever things need to get more dramatic and whatnot. But let's see. Actually, I want to say in issue 4 of Beast King, there's something that happens to Jake that I've actually seen kind of happen a lot. And, is that page I showed you recently where I'm trying to figure out how to say it without giving any spoilers.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's very much kind of a, it's almost like shock. Would that be a fair way of saying it without going too far
severe
into
version
it?
of shock.
Yeah, like a psychic shock almost.
Yeah. But and I kind of I don't really know how readers are going to take that scene because I've kind of portrayed Jake as emotionally hardened in a sense, and so that's going to kind of not necessarily portray him as weak, but it's going to make him look very vulnerable as a character, in my opinion.
The reason why I liked it and was good with it is because we're all vulnerable. And it's taken us a little bit longer to see where his vulnerabilities are. And really, you can kind of see them even as you've told the story, because there's moments where he sort of snaps and gets angry. And the whole thing is a vengeance tale. And that in and of itself kind of shows where your weakness is. Because if you think about vengeance, the root of what vengeance is you being so angered by something has triggered you so much that you have to physically or in some other way wail out on somebody in order to feel better. And so that is that shows where your vulnerabilities are, because that vengeance comes from something that has struck you usually very personally.
Oh yeah, and then also vengeance can be pretty consuming in who you are, and you can end up losing yourself in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find your writing to be cathartic in that the stories that you tell kind of allow you to deal with the shit that has happened in your own life and allow you to just kind of go, whew, okay? Or are you just telling fun stories?
I'd say yeah, because I feel like some of the stuff I write about in Beast King and Ungodly Champion doesn't necessarily get talked about much in comic books because everyone's too busy making their characters look like badasses and trying to make them look awesome, that you don't really see vulnerable sides to the main characters as much, especially in indies, because like I just said. But yeah, I do enjoy. I do kind of get some enjoyment out of writing that specific stuff because it's kind of like an outlet for me.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's as much indies as it is creator-owned titles. I think the thing about it is that we become, especially when you're a little more, when you're newer and whatnot, we become so attached to our own creations that in a lot of ways, those creations become a way for us to express fantasies, whether it's power fantasies or whatever. So I find that a lot of these guys who are like, my character has fucking 17 superpowers and he can fucking kill everybody. He's invulnerable to this, that, and that, and that. And the only thing he's weak against is raspberries. And you're like, when the fuck is he going to see raspberries? And, with the guy who's got a fucking power shield, is he really the raspberries can't get through that? So when the fuck will that come up? So I find that a lot of times it's a power fantasy, and I kind of like that you do show that vulnerability in your characters because it steers away from that power fantasy a little bit. I mean, obviously there's some of that your characters are both pretty powerful, but you show their vulnerabilities, and you've never had a problem showing that they do have issues, and I would say that actually is a big part of what you do. So I think that's well done.
Yeah, that's a big aim for me. Is like, I try to emphasize their issues, because that way it makes it easier to write like character growth and whatnot. Because it's a lot easier to start with a broken character than it is, someone who's basically got no flaws and, like you said, their only weakness is raspberries.
Which, by the way, I'm not a big fan of raspberries either, so I get it, but
I enjoy raspberries.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. I won't look down on you for that. As long as you don't look down on me for loving a beer after a good night at a convention.
God.
Yeah, right. So we're I think. Sorry, I'm trying to get my head around this question because I want to say it just right. When we're talking about indies, so many independent creators, they want different things out of their career. Some people are just hobbyists. They just want to tell their own stories. Other people are like, I want Marvel. That's, Marvel DC. That's what I want. What is your path? Where do you want to end up?
So I feel like my answer might be a little bit different because, like, while yes, I obviously enjoy telling my stories and everything, which I don't hate it when people give that answer, but it just seems like kind of a lazy answer. But I actually I want my characters, like these characters and stories I create, I want them to be able to like outlive me. Like how Superman's been around for like 100 years. But though, like, I also don't want it to be, the same story just retold in different formats or different versions. But I don't know. I want my stories to be able to be remembered for a long time, and just be able to, how do I put it? Go away. Go lay down.
Is that your wife or your dog? Okay.
No, but I just want them to be around for a long time, and part of it's because I feel like that is a good way to be remembered even after you're gone and whatnot. So
yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, and actually, that's actually a very, very honest, good answer. I like that a lot. Knowing your trajectory and how you're doing things and whatnot, where would you say you see yourself in 5 years? We'll do that regular job interview question.
Hopefully self-funding on my comics. I mean, that'd be pretty nice, but I honestly haven't really thought about where I see myself in 5 years because, it just feels like it's already enough just trying to deal with the day-to-day stuff in indie comics.
I get that, man, and I appreciate someone who's just like, man, I'm just loving what I'm doing and what I'm making, and that's what I'm focused on. So I get that. Brian Manel came back in. He said, "This is a big one. You can't even see our faces. We have to look over top." Right? Yeah. See, there we are. When you write your characters around certain themes that you personally want to explore and explore the nature of their internal conflicts, how much of those things are reflected within yourself that are projected onto the story? Is this your own way of exploring and understanding yourself as a person?
I'd say partially, yes.
Mm-hmm. So is a lot like do you find that in all of that there tends to be you put like a lot of yourself into these stories?
I'd say about 50% because
Yeah.
like I want to, in a sense, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. I want to tell stories that can show what could happen.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the best case scenario happening of a shitty situation. It'll be more like, like, look, this is what could happen if it's not taken care of. That type of stuff.
Very nice. So why don't you we've been talking around your books, but why don't you actually give us a pitch for what Beast King is first off?
So, for those who are unfamiliar with Beast King is the story of a guy named Jake Stevens who was born with animal DNA combined with his regular human DNA. And his parents, who were the scientists that made this happen, they were the only ones that had the research to pull off a perfect being of what he is, because every time they tried to do it with regular adults, it would end up making them kind of messed up in the head, and they would almost look grotesque and whatnot. And because the family or the parents would share that research, like the research to pull off the whole creating the perfect creatures thing, the company that they worked for, who turned out to be not what they thought they were, ended up having his parents assassinated. And so because of that, Jake has been raised by his uncle to one day get revenge and take down the company that's responsible for basically fucking up his whole life.
Those assholes. I liked when you and I hung out. I remember you doing you gave someone a quick pitch, and basically what you said was, and it was so funny. It was just it's the Hulk meets Batman, and I was like, holy shit! It is the Hulk meets Batman.
Yeah, I think I gave that pitch whenever I was getting tired or something like that. I can't remember.
Dude, I actually like that pitch because it's a basic pitch, but it says so much, and it's you don't immediately see it, but when you do look at it, like I mean, very much he kind of has the backstory of a Bruce Wayne with sort of the power levels and unpredictability of a Hulk.
Yeah, that is true.
Yet, Beast King still, you didn't know that? Beast King very much has its own feel, though, so that if that had been obvious, if you had said, oh, it's Hulk meets Batman, I'd be like, well, duh, yeah, it's pretty fucking obvious. But when you said that, I was like, oh, hey, it is. And I think that's how we want our writing to be handled, is we want to give someone like who's already enjoyed it a simple pitch and have them go, yeah, fuck, you're right. I didn't even think of it like that. So I think you're doing the right thing. You just don't know how or why you're doing the right thing.
Which, you know, I guess that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, it's better than the opposite, which could be doing the wrong thing and knowing exactly why the fuck you are and continuing to do it. I've seen creators like that. Well, I just really like this. Well, other people have to like it too, buddy. You want to sell a book?
It's impossible to try to talk sense into them too.
Right? What are some things that you feel that you do very well? Like what are the things that you think are your strengths when it comes to making comics? Like over the whole process, from writing and the voices and all that, all the way up to fulfillment and selling and whatever else. What are your strengths?
I know, in my opinion, when it comes to the storytelling process, I feel like I am definitely better at writing fight scenes than probably 50% of other indie creators. This isn't really something I really think about, so I'm gonna have to think on it for a second.
No, dude, I never told you what we were going to talk about, so you're good.
I mean, I feel like when it comes to conventions, I have to be doing something. I usually at least break even. I just don't know what exactly that is.
Yeah.
I can't really, other than the fight scene stuff, I don't really know what specifically makes me stand out. I mean,
I would say one of the things that I love about you, and especially when I went over to your place, is you had this really nice printer. You were super excited, showing off these beautiful posters that you had done. And I feel like you're maybe like a techie in disguise. You're someone who loves the tech of it and seems to enjoy kind of, like the fun things that you could do and create with your project.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I weirdly enjoy printing the posters, especially when it's like, you see how it is on the computer and then you print it out and I'm like, holy shit, this looks even better. But that printer is also like $600.
Oh yeah, no, it was a gorgeous printer. Holy shit, that was a nice printer.
Yeah, I think it's an inkjet printer too. It's what the fuck is that thing called? It's like some kind of eco tank inkjet printer. So like you actually like it's got permanent cartridges, and you got like these bottles of ink, and you like connect it to the cartridge, and it just fills up, and it's pretty cool.
That is. Do you still have that beast?
Oh yeah, I still have it. I ain't throwing that thing away.
Weren't you actually printing your own comics off of that at the beginning?
Oh god, yeah, way back when I didn't know anything, I was actually using that damn printer to print pages. Like I had to set it up, and I had to set up the pages in some weird way to where like I could print them and then flip them and then print on the back because I had to get this thick ass paper, and it was like probably a step below cardstock or something like that. And I had to get the thick paper so because it's an inkjet printer, so it soaks into the paper, and I had to get a thick enough paper to where it wouldn't bleed through to the other side. And yeah, that was such a pain in the ass. I don't even know what the hell I was thinking. Like I'd spend like all day just making 10 comic books. Well, at least half the day, anyways.
Wow. Did you ever get to? So was it after doing that you're like, no, I'm not gonna be a printer. I will pay someone else to do this.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a lot easier for some reason. Like I guess I thought it would print the pages faster and that cutting the pages and all that stuff would be easier, but it was nowhere near that. It sucked.
Well, we got to calm down here, guys, because we have an award-winning broadcaster here. Holy shit, Steph Wilson is in the house. Mr. You Can Draw. Not as bad as being an editor. That's the worst job. Never take that. Only an idiot would be an editor. I've been drinking, haven't I? I am fucking brisk. So I know that like you very award. Yeah, see, I said award winning. I don't think I said nominated. You were nominated, and then you changed it to winning. So I know that you tend to prefer to work on your own stories and that kind of thing. Is there any artists that you haven't worked with yet? Okay, Steph, fuck you. Is there any artists that you haven't worked with yet that you would really like to?
I know, like, I don't know if I'm gonna say his name right. Is it Dino?
Dino Agor, yeah.
I don't like. Yeah, like his stuff's pretty cool. I would like to work with him one day. I guess technically,
that's my one artist.
I've worked with Staniak. I'm trying to think who else. But yeah, like, I'd say Dino would probably be in top 3 of people I'd like to work with one day because he seems like he's really professional and his artwork is pretty great.
See, Steph Wilson is trying to tell you he does variant covers, but I don't mean to be rude, Steph, but unless Beast King grows tits, I don't know that it's quite the kind of book you want to be working on.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, you could do a really fun gender bent Beast King variant just for fun. I bet you that would be fucking hilarious. Have Steph Wilson do that.
I would be terrified that would start some kind of group that's like a bigger fan base than my actual Beast King fan base, and then that's somehow what I become known for is the different version.
Hey, it worked for Adventure Time. They had like one episode where they did like a gender swapping, and everyone went mental, and they had to do it like repeatedly after that because everybody loved it. Fiona and Cake, I believe it was.
Yeah, I remember that. There was, like basically girl versions of the 2 main characters.
Beast Queen.
I've actually had people ask me that, like, does that mean there's going to be a Beast Queen? Like, it's not planned, but you never know.
I think we're making it a thing, man. You might have to consider it like one side issue. You know what you should do when you decide to do a trade? You should do like a short Beast Queen issue.
Like Jake wakes up and he's suddenly like Justina or something like that.
Right?
I'd have to find a weird way to. I'd have to find a weird way to make that work. So I don't know if I have any wizard type characters yet that could make that somehow happen.
It could be a dream. It could be an alternate reality.
That is true.
See, you know what? We're not even interested in your fucking story. We just want Steph Wilson to have another cover. That's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to get Steph another. That poor guy, he's only done like 70 covers this year so far, and it's already March. He really needs to step it the fuck up. We're just trying to get him work. But yeah, it could be a fun backstory. I'm just saying.
Sorry, my wife was.
There's a story? Oh, fuck you. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about as far as your processes are concerned? Anything that you want to kind of highlight?
Because
lately you've done work for other people. How's that?
Oh yeah, I basically helped Sean write that median story, and then Alfie with his story. I actually kind of enjoyed those because it's kind of nice to be able to help other people with their stories as opposed to just focusing on mine, and helping them kind of add stuff that wasn't originally there. Like I want to say with Sean's story, like I would kind of like I'd message him like, hey, I know you have this set up to happen this way, but what if we did it this way instead? And usually I get good feedback. I don't think I've necessarily had a negative response yet.
Right. See, Brian Manell he's already giving you the pitch. The corporation develops a gas to get rid of Jake's altered genetic side, but instead it just altered his sex briefly. Brian is working the angles. That's so true. It just needs editing. No, yeah, get a good guy. Get somebody good. Get somebody who knows what he's talking about. That could be really funny. That could be a lot of fun.
I mean, I was considering like a nightmare story where he wakes up multiple times and he's like a different version of himself every time.
I don't know, man. Waking up as a woman, I don't know that it would be a nightmare for me. I'd be like, dude, look at me. We have people watching from Ghana right now. Thank you, Papa Goasa. So nice to have you on here, buddy. Much love to you guys.
There's a lot of notifications on here.
Jake just needs to go on a warpath, interrogate scientists, and coerce the right people into making a vaccine. There you go. Dream sequence. See, The fans are clamoring. Both of these guys, they want it bad. Beast Queen, Beast Queen.
Oh man.
But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Talking about what you're doing and everything. Why don't you give everybody a final pitch about Beast King and send them off towards that great Kickstarter of yours. If anyone wants to drop that in the comments here, that would be fantastic.
So Beast King, for those who are new to it, is basically a Batman meets the Hulk kind of story, and it's a story about a guy named Jake Stevens who is basically hell-bent on revenge to take out the company that assassinated his parents. Because when he was born with animal DNA combined with his own, because his parents were like, oh God, I'm drawing a blank on the word. Anyways, they were scientists who were working on trying to make the next step of human evolution happen. And they realized that childbirth was the best time to do it, because when they experimented with full-blown adults, it would just go horribly wrong and they'd become warped versions of themselves. And what the hell? I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
These dogs keep messing with me the whole time I've been doing this video.
They're like, come on, Dad, like hang out with us. Who the hell is that fat dude over there? He's nobody.
Now they do this every time I do one of these videos. It's like, I don't know if they're thinking I'm going nuts or whatever, because I'm sitting here just talking nonstop and there's no one in here, or what?
Right? They think you're going nuts.
Yeah, that's my guess.
So yeah, check out his Kickstarter. You funded today. You still have like what, 15 days to go?
Yeah, I think tomorrow we'll make it 2 weeks left.
Yeah. This is a shorter Kickstarter, right? What'd you do, like 27 days?
I started switching my Kickstarters up to 21-day campaigns, because I'm sure, as you know, there's like that middle 2 weeks where it's slow as hell and hardly shit happens. So I figured I might as well cut like 9 days out of that.
Yeah, I feel you. Yep. All right, cool. And why don't you tell them real quick about Ungodly Champion as well before we head out?
All right. For those unfamiliar with Ungodly Champion, it's basically a story about a tournament that's held every 100 years. And it's called the Tournament of Ether. And basically what happens is the gods end up choosing someone who would be like their disciple, and they train them and help them unlock their inner abilities to be able to use ether, and it basically gives them powers. And they basically all fight until there's like one person left who hasn't been eliminated, kind of like Mortal Kombat in a sense. And the person who wins ends up unlocking the full power of being able to control ether, which, like I go the route of former winners are people like Genghis Khan, King Arthur, Alexander the Great, Hitler even. And Hitler is basically the previous winner. So it's like it doesn't have to be someone with morals that can win. It can, people who play dirty can end up winning and all that stuff. And the winner is supposed to be able to alter history and just keep human or mankind's history just moving, as opposed to just stagnating.
Wow. So if he does win the championship, we get to see what history would look like with him as the champion.
Pretty much. And the story just follows around on the main character as he's kind of trying to become the champion of Ether.
That's really cool. All right, cool. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. Love hanging out with you guys. Next week, we have Mog Park, an absolutely amazing artist who is she's currently working on the Game of Thrones comic book, and her work is absolutely beautiful. So excited. Every time her and I hang out, it's always a good time. So excited. Thank you guys so much for coming out. That's right, dude, we only have cool guests here. The host is shit, but the guests are great. So yeah, that kind of, I find that evens everything out. It makes it, by the end of it, it's all an interesting an interesting setup because at least we have good guests. Thank you, Mike, so much. Yeah, please do check out Apex by my boy Ben Cook, who will be on in the next couple weeks. He launched a little earlier than he intended to. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Shane, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate you, man. I know that you have a busy life and you have a fucking hectic, crazy job. So the fact that you have to put up with my shit for an hour is just, it's not fair. You deserve better. So we appreciate your service and I appreciate you putting up with me. Thank you so much, everybody. Peace, love, and comics. My name is Chuck, and I do give a fuck.